Hey everyone, this is Dave with Universal Midi Controller, and what I'm going to talk about today is a new capability that we are putting into the Universal Midi Controller for people who own a Mills Violano, like this unit here. And what that capability is to allow people to run an analysis on the entire piano, along with every single note on the violin, and the tool will tell you how in tune or out of tune your instrument is. If you own one of these instruments, you know how wonderful they sound when they're in tune and how horrible they sound when they're out of tune. And the problem is trying to tune one of these things is very difficult, because if you're trying to tune the violin, getting to each individual finger to raise it and raise it with the same tension as the electromagnet is virtually impossible. And as you probably know, on the piano, the notes do not go from low to high, from left to right, like a typical piano, but the low notes are in the middle of the soundboard, and they go out from the middle as the notes get higher. And if you bring in a traditional piano tuner, this will drive them crazy. So the new capability that we've put in allows you to run an analysis on your Violano, and very quickly you'll see what notes are out of tune, and then you can take corrective action. And all you need to do this is to have the Tuner Assistant enabled in the Universal Midi Controller, and then have a microphone, which we provide like this, and you just plug it into the microphone jack, which is this pink jack right here, and then you just place the microphone in the belly of the Violano, and you run the app through the web interface. So let's go ahead and do that, and you'll see what it does. So let me go ahead and put this away, and what I'll do is I'll turn on screen recording on my Mac, and I'll go to the website or the web browser, so you can see everything. And I've also got a tuning app on my phone, and we'll have it running at the same time, and we'll superimpose it on the video so you can see how close the frequency detection is on the MIDI controller computer. We've written a proprietary software DSP, digital signal processor, to analyze the notes. So it's not as good as a hardware DSP, which is on your phone, but we think it's pretty good. Some of the caveats with the Mills Violano: there's a lot of noise going on when this thing's running, because you've got your bow motors running and the tremolo and all that. So in some cases you may have to test a note a couple times to get the true indication, but anyway, we'll run a quick test on this Violano. We'll test the piano, and we'll pick one of the violin strings to test, and you can see for yourself. And I guess that's it. This capability is still in beta testing. We've given it to a couple customers. They've been very happy with it. And sometime in the near future, it will be available as an add-on to the MIDI controller. So I'm going to pause the video. We'll get all the screen capture stuff going, and then we're ready to rock and roll. Okay, so we've got screen recording turned on the browser on the Mac, and we've got Piano Tuner running on the iPhone, and it's being in screen recording also, so we will superimpose everything. So the first thing, let's go to the screen capture of the Mac. So as you can tell, I just got the regular web browser running. I'm connected to the Universal Midi Controller, which is controlling the Violano. And so the first thing we want to do is go to Settings. And so if you go to Settings, you'll see a new item that shows up, Violano Tuner Assistant, right here at the bottom. So we click on that, and we'll see a whole lot of buttons. So on the first line, or the first row, we'll see all the piano notes, starting with F2 all the way through C6. And then we've got the strings violin string G, violin string A, violin string D, and violin string E. And you see these are lined up so that the notes on the violin strings correspond to the same notes on the piano. So C4 and G has a C4. If we go down a little bit further, on A4 we have violin string A4 and violin string D A4. So the reason we do that is because you also have an option if you want to tune by ear. If you press this top A4 button, it'll first play the piano A4, and then violin string A4, and violin string D A4. And you should be able to tell if all of those are in tune with each other. But for now, let's go ahead and start. And I will click on Analyze Piano. And what it will do is it will play each individual piano note. The microphone will be listening. The signal processor running inside the Universal Midi Controller will detect the frequencies, and it will show you what it detects, and then it will show you the note that it detected, which hopefully should match the same note that's being tested, and the sense deviation. We have arbitrarily picked 10 cents as acceptable for both the piano and the violin. So the notes that show up within 10 cents of perfect are considered in tune, and they'll show up as green. If it's within 15 cents, then that is acceptable, and it'll show up as yellow. And if it's greater than 15 cents, it'll show up as red, and that is deemed unacceptable. So, having started that, or stating all of that, let's go ahead and test the piano and see how in tune or out of tune this piano is. So all you do is you click on Analyze Piano and let it run, and obviously we don't want to be talking when this is testing. So here we go. Okay, so we have just tested every single piano note. As you can see, most of the notes are green, so they're considered in tune. We've got a few yellow notes, which are deemed acceptable, but we got a couple notes that showed up as red. For example, this F4 note. So if we tap on F4, we will test that note individually all by itself. So let's go ahead and do that. Well, there we go. That time it came in tune. So let's just test it again. Okay, so we're in tune. So probably what happened the first time it was testing it, it just got too much feedback from the bow motors and the tremolo and all that. Now you do have, on most Violanos, you have the ability to turn off the violin so just the piano is played. And that's probably what you should do if you know how to do it, because you'll eliminate some of that background noise. Let's test G-sharp 4. Okay, it still said it was out of tune quite a bit. Let's test it one more time. So it's still marginal. So if you're going to have bring in a tuner to tune the piano, we would definitely have him spend some time on that particular string. Let's take a look at C5. So that came in as marginal, but it's okay. And just for grins, let's test it one more time. So it's still coming in marginal. As you can see, the note that it's actually detecting, I thought was F sharp 5. But the number you really want to look at is the actual frequency and the ideal frequency. And so anyway, that is the piano. So now let's test the violin. Let's pick, oh, I don't care. Let's pick string A. So many of the fingers are in tune. Now a couple of the notes, it couldn't determine the frequencies. That's why it's blank. And again, you've got the tremolo running, you got the bow motor, so there's a lot of background noise going on. So let's just test those individually. Okay, that time it was able to detect it, and it looks like it's pretty close to being in tune. Let's look at F sharp 5. Still didn't detect it. Let's try it one more time. Let's try A sharp 5. One more time. So in this case, there's just too much noise going on, or the microphone's not in an ideal location in the belly, there's one thing you can do to get a better reading on the violin, and that is to get the microphone, which we just had right in there, and place it, wedge it between the violin and the rosin tray. So let's do that. Now we've done that, let's test A#5. There we go. That time it was able to detect it and it's in tune. Let's look at F#5. That one worked as well. So you may have to mess around with placing the microphone in the right location. If you do put it between the violin and the rosin tray, you see, it seems to work very well. Let's talk about the feature I talked about earlier when you want to tune by ear. And so, for example, let's press E5 at the very top. And what that'll do is that'll play the piano, and then the violin string A, E5, followed by the violin string E, E5. Now, it's not going to do any analysis. This is purely for your hearing to analyze it. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's do that one more time. So I don't know how clear that is on the video, but you should have been able to tell that all three notes had the same pitch or frequency. I know some people like to tune by ear, so that's why that capability is in there. There's some additional features, like let's play the piano rail. If you want to hear all the notes from lowest to highest, you can hit play piano rail. And you can also do the same thing with each violin string. Let's do the same thing for, which one has fewest notes? Make it fast. Violin string D. We found this feature very useful for finding dead magnets, because it's very obvious when it's playing the notes in sequence. If a finger doesn't go up, or if a piano finger doesn't fire, it's very obvious to your ear. It'll also be obvious when you did a test, because there'd be nothing that's played during that note. But anyway, that is the Tuner Assistant. We think it's pretty cool, and it's not yet available. It will be in an upcoming release of the Universal Midi Controller. If you are a previous customer that has one of our MIDI computers, we'll provide an upgrade path if you'd like this capability. And I guess that's it. So hope you found this interesting, and if you have any comments, feel free to send us an email. The email address should be on the bottom of your screen. And that's it for now. So thank you.